And right there were the Christians of
This
the 5th
church is
century
1,500 years old.
when the church was finished. So this is our first thing for today as far as our visits go. So carefully now, after we pick up our whisper systems.
Alternating with rows of bricks is typical of the 5th century AD, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, however, this church suffered serious damage in 1917. We had a terrible fire in Thessaloniki, similar to the Chicago fire, which destroyed almost the entire downtown area. Coming in and out, so I guess there is Great. So, you understand then exactly what we need? We cannot go inside the area behind the parapet, please. The low barrier there. Church is, let's say, closed and there's no service going on beyond that parapet. So I was saying. Restoration part of the church begins. You can clearly see because of the different materials that were used. Decided to use different types of capitals and place them in pairs on the south and north side. And on the two piers, the square columns to the right and left of the iconostasis, beautiful.
Yeah. It's one thing they value in Europe is parks and squares.
Mm-hmm. Well, and their culture, they haven't stopped using them, or, you know,
Yeah.
they've continued to be gathering spots.
Well, it's something that we're starting to value. We've done a couple.
Another Orthodox Church saint who is, I'm sure, one of the saints you have probably never heard of before. We have thousands of martyrs, and a number of them have been canonized and are called. Inside you'll see a huge round building, a rotunda with a conical roof. So coming up on the left hand side now, kindly take a look to see the triumphal arch of Galerius, and further up to the left take a look at the rotunda with the conical roof and brick walls and the Turkish minaret next to it, because that building was originally intended to be the pantheon of Thessaloniki, a shrine for all the gods like the pantheon in Rome. And finally, because of the death of Galerius, who died before he had the opportunity to turn that round building into the pantheon, it was turned by the early Christians into a church of St. George. That you see is from the 15th century, and we call it the White Tower because back in the 19th century it was whitewashed completely, it was painted white, and since then we have been calling it the White Tower, or tragic past of this tower. The authorities of the city decided to paint it white completely, and that's why we call it nowadays the White Tower. And in the city is the statue of Alexander the Great that's coming up at 3 o'clock on the right hand side. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look. Aris is slowing down in order for you to see. This is another emblem of the city because Alexander the Great was of course the most important, the greatest king of ancient Macedonia. On the right hand side, and now coming up on the right hand side we're passing the Archaeological Museum of Thessaloniki.
Tower.
There's a number of marble sarcophagi as you see in the garden in front of it on the right, and now we're entering another open area, another square, which is called the YMCA Square.
Oh yeah, Kinko
with the
trees.
Tower of Telecommunications on the right hand side. Maybe you remember it from a couple of days ago.
The universities are free
on the
in
right
Greece.
hand side,
Wow.
you see now how hidden behind the trees the original building of the university was together on Monday. But I don't want you to believe that that's the only Acropolis in Greece. Remember, here you see on our right a Greek Orthodox cemetery. That is on our right. You'll see two more smaller cemeteries, one for the Armenian population of the city, one for the Protestant population of the city. And these cemeteries have been here for a long time, hundreds of years. So, sorry, Protestant first, on our left-hand side now, and Armenian cemetery coming up And just behind these cemeteries are bits and pieces of the Byzantine walls of the city. So you understand, you see it clearly here, that they had the cemeteries, they put the cemeteries just outside the city walls. Portions of the city walls. This is of course not their original size, they used to be taller than this. The top of the wall is missing. And this is the inner wall. There was an outer wall in front of this with a moat. So the city of Thessaloniki was famous for its fortifications, and these walls did save the city hundreds of times, especially during the attacks of the Slavic peoples in the 8th, in the 9th, in the 10th century. And on a number of occasions he was seen on the walls of the city. When the city was attacked, he fought on the side of the city's soldiers, and that's why he was considered, he was proclaimed a saint. We have traffic problems in the old town of Thessaloniki sometimes. Take a look to the left. And the ground floor is usually where they had the kitchen, the stables, the utility rooms, the servants' rooms, and then upstairs where we have the balcony is where the owners had their living quarters. Built have to be small and look like the old. And here we are turning to see the north wall of the city. On your left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, and straight ahead, or Thessaloniki. This is where the Ignatia was leading, and this is the gate, the next gate we'll see.
This is where St. Paul came
we
through?
are not getting up, ladies and gentlemen. The portada, as we call it, the great gate, in other words. And even though we can hardly fit with our big bus through this gate nowadays, in those years this was the greatest gate of the walls. Well, it's over as far as the maneuvering goes, but if you'd like, there's more to see coming up on our left-hand side now. Look at these other pieces of the wall in the Acropolis. So there were different, as you can understand, several degrees of defense. If the enemy breached the walls surrounding the city, the people could run up to the Acropolis to find protection behind the northern wall we saw a few minutes ago. And if that one was destroyed or entered as well, they could come to the inner fortress behind the wall that is on our left-hand side right now to find protection. And at the very top of the hill there was the small compact citadel that you see now on our left-hand side. We catch a glimpse of it on our left-hand side. This is the Heptapyrgio, the 7-tower fortress, which was until recently, until 30 or 40 years ago, still used as a prison. General things, let's wrap everything up and put everything in chronological order as far as the Thessaloniki, who was a stepsister, a half-sister of Alexander the Great. And we're turning in the Belt Road now, so if you'd like, on the left-hand side from a distance you can take one last look at the fortress, the citadel, which crowns the hill behind the city. The name of Thessaloniki, the name of this girl, comes from the two words Thessalians and Niki, victory. Victory of the Thessalians is the meaning of the word Thessaloniki. From all around the world coming to Thessaloniki and spending months or years here studying the Byzantine churches of Thessaloniki, rest of Macedonia and northern Greece. It was liberated on the 5th day of its patron saint, Demetrius, which is the 26th of October.
Olympus Plaza. rest up.
Yes. When I was at church for many years, very similar to St. Luke's in size. It's called
Western Macedonia is the center of the fruit production of the whole country. So in this area we're surrounded by thousands of peach trees, apricot trees, pear trees, cherries, plums. Further south there are kiwi trees. I don't know if you like and
we
enjoy the kiwi
Yes,
fruit.
we like them.
They're better here than
apples, melons, watermelons, strawberries, any kind of fruit you can think of that, of course, that we can grow. Well, that's exotic, that's tropical. We don't have... Okay, then I will rephrase. Any kind of fruit that we can grow in a Mediterranean country, anyway, we do have in this area. And in this particular area where we are coming closer to Veriia now, it's mostly peach trees, peaches and apricots. A pretty large mountain, and that's the mountain range of Vermion, which is one of the, let's say, natural borders between Macedonia and the next Greek province to the west, which is called Epirus. So the town of Veriia is now coming up with 80% of Greece is mountains. 80% of the territory of Greece is covered by mountains or hills. So now the city of Veriia is often called the Jerusalem of Greece because of its large number of Byzantine churches, which are more than 70. More than 70 old Byzantine churches can be found in Veriia. And here it is on our left, this Church of Mary. This one was dedicated to Mary, the Mother of Christ. And in square of this town, which is called Elia. And we'll drive around it and then go left. And in a few minutes, I will point out to you the most famous of all the Byzantine churches of Veriia, which is a church of the 13th century, an order, a decree, according to which the churches of the Christians had to be, their size had to be really small because they had to be shorter, smaller than a standing man. Their height should not exceed the height of a standing person. Surrounded by a portico with arches. Kindly take a look to the left now. This is it. You see, it's located at the lower ground level, and that's exactly what they used to do. They laid the foundation several feet beneath the level of the street or the sidewalks as they were in those years.
Supermarket.
And sometimes it takes a while.
Mm-hmm.
Having coffee. The women are home cleaning and cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever you see green cross, yes, that's a pharmacy. It's like the one in front of us, right ahead of us, are pharmacies. Dedicated to the Apostle Paul. And another one of the old Byzantine churches coming up now on our left-hand side, just next to the street. As we were saying before, their exterior is so simple and humble, but the interior is just breathtaking. I mean, as
Watchtower Square.
And of course the
Looks
area
like a
where
school.
the mayor has reserved a space for tour buses to stop.
getting good shots, Julie? I hope so. Yeah, good.
Got a minaret over there.
Yesterday, and these marble steps, according to the archaeologists, do date back to the Roman period. So it's the local tradition, and this is one of the cases where we say it's the tradition. We believe this is the case, but we can't be 100% sure that this is the exact spot. Whereas in places like yesterday, when we were next to the stream, we know that is the body of water, that is the stream where Lydia was baptized. Or when we'll go to ancient Corinth, we'll say, this is the bema where Paul was dragged and accused. We'll be very specific. In this case, we can't be specific. It's the local belief, it's the tradition that on these steps Paul stood and preached Christianity to the Veriians for the first time. And, some 15 years or so ago, the two wings were added to the old monument. And in the mosaic to the left, you see the vision of Paul in Troas, when the Macedonian appeared and said, come and help us. And on the right side, you see Paul standing on the three steps and preaching to the Veriia people who are examining, of course, the scripture to see if he is right. And more recently, the experts believe that he was decapitated in Rome. And he's holding also the scrolls, the epistles that he sent to the churches he established. And you see the face of the church. Receding hair, big forehead, long dark beard, crooked nose, eyebrows that meet above the nose. So he wasn't big set eyes. He was not a very attractive man according to the Apocalypse.
One string.
Just one string for
Yes.
volleyball.
And she just did it. And it's boys against girls.
Little local flavor here. Watching the school kids play volleyball, or at least try to, with one string for the net.
Sean, and her name is Ella Tessa, and that means beautiful fourth ornament well. Yes, he does.
Some of the local flavor here.
Yeah.
Is that fish in there? That's fish.
Fish market.
Fish market.
And I said yes, because I had a 13-year-old Havanese there. And I said yes, so the open shops.
Political, and it's the result of the
It's stuff that I get off of Facebook from
economic
other people.
crisis we have been experiencing in Greece in the last 5 or 6 years. So people are very, or at least were, when the crisis broke out about 5, 6 years ago, people were very frustrated, very disappointed, very angry at what was happening, very, very angry with the government that had to take the austerity measures and cut everybody's salaries and make everybody's life difficult. So they are calling the government names, you know, they write bad things about them. That's why we have a lot of graffiti. To gather near the living water rather than build a building and use it as a synagogue for their gatherings. So these are the two theories, let's say, that biblical scholars offer in order to explain why Paul did not go to look for the Jews in a synagogue in Philippi, but went to the river.
The backbone of Greece mountains. Pindos.
No, Pindos.
Pindos. You can see how the highway goes.
Here comes a tunnel.
And there's another
One,
tunnel.
Two.
And we're going to go into a tunnel here. And we're in.
Oh, this one's like
Snow.
This reminds me of North Texas Panhandle, North New Mexico.
This is one of those long tunnels. And there is light at the end of the tunnel.
You know, that was such a good breakfast of yogurt and
It's a train.
cereal and dry
Oh no, it's a train! Oh
Oh, Smoky.
no! More snow. But I don't think it's enough for skiing.
Well, I'd say no.
I would say no.
But
They kind of terraced this so it would minimize the rock
falling,
slides.
yeah.
Toll booth.
Over there on the right.
Yep, they're very arid on one side, very rocky. Big power plant.
This is a power station, ladies and gentlemen. In this area, the underground is full of lignite, lignitis we say in Greek. It's a kind of coal, and it's the fuel that they use in this power station.
That's good to hear.
Here's the other two power plants, powered by coal. And the other one's over to the right. Looks like on the north side of the hills you got the nice green cover, and then on the south side you get the more rocky surface and less greenery.
Yeah, I wanted to get real healthy.
We're stopped at a rest stop, and Charlotte would like me to get a picture of these bearded irises. And in the distance is snow-covered mountains, and there's supposed to be a ski resort up there according to a map inside. And they have an orange tree here. I guess that's for sale. We've got a couple stragglers, but we're almost ready to go.
Thin Mints, the only kind of Girl Scout cookie as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Melting Pintos.
Cute. Oh, it is extra too.
Yeah, it's sugar-free, so.
It's all right, Kim. You don't have to do that.
I don't notice that logo.
I agree.
We're on a smaller highway now. Okay, we're on a mountain road.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you a minute or two to wrap up what you are saying, what you're talking about. Sounds like you're having a great time, and I hate to interrupt you, but I'd like to tell you a few things about this area first, and then prepare you for what we're going to see in Meteora.
I know. It is a neighborhood back there that you don't want any part of.
The back of the bus is,
No comment.
the bad kids are in the back of the bus.
Okay, take a look at this area here. It's one of the tributaries of the largest river in Greece, Aliakmonas. And this is an area where, because of the rocks and the rough waters that are not right here but in other areas along this river, one of the things that people who visit this area can do is canoeing or kayaking, and of course fishing and diving and swimming in other areas, not like right here where we were able to drive, which is a bit more rough.
Oh, we missed the sheep. There were sheep.
It was a white dog.
Street is
Oh.
a bit.
Sorry.
After revenue of a P, they use a P because, again, the Greek spelling P-O-R-A. So that's where we're spending the night tonight, and tomorrow we'll pay votive offerings. Some of them are thank yous. In other words, some of them are memorials. And when that elaborate embroidery, and because of this, we were fighting against in Greece, because Greece was on the side of the Allies, of course. So we were under from the Byzantine period that were possessions of these monasteries, and also every day, one or two to the left. These are the Meteora pinnacles, the Meteora rock columns, as they are often called. And remember what we said earlier, ladies and gentlemen. It is believed that these rocks are the remains of large quantities of pebbles, sand, and gravel that a prehistoric river. Here we are in the center of Kalampaka. We're going to turn now in order to approach the Meteora crags, and you'll see that our restaurant where we'll have our delayed lunch, our Greek time lunch, is in an area just outside the town, it has a fantastic view of the Meteora rocks. Impressive shapes and designs. Now this restaurant here, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind...
All right, we're going into our restaurants before we go up to the monasteries. And we are right across the street from the big rocks.
Yes. Never smoked in my life. What is it? Sleeping juicy. Yes, sleeping juicy. That's a good one.
Now, what do you add to the cherry?
And if for dessert here, we're having cherries mixed with cherries. But Liberty says it's traditional.
And you
So,
cook it with
she says it's
sugar.
traditional, it's traditional.
Just plain sugar.
That's where we're going. I'll be right there.
Take your cameras out, have your iPhones or anything ready.
Okay, everybody, I know you're excited and you're yelling to each other. Try to whisper. This is what you're going to see, but it's hard for everyone to hear Leaky if everyone's talking, right?
Right. In that cave, and there's a teeny tiny chapel in there, which is dedicated to St. George, a very popular saint in the Greek Orthodox Church. So this little village has a tradition, and every year on the day when we honor St. George, and that's the 23rd of April, so that's only a few days ago, the young men of the village climb up with their bare hands and feet to that cave. The first one climbs that way, and then in order to help some of the others who can't do the same, he throws a rope ladder. And what they do is they remove the scarves and ribbons and pieces of cloth from the previous years and tie new ones around the ropes. And this goes back to an old tradition. They blend in, and they're difficult to spot from a distance. If you look up at the top of the rock, just next to us to the left, we can see the first one, which is dedicated to St. Nicholas. Not only this first monastery of St. Nicholas, but a few more as well. And now R-O-U, double S-A-N-O-U. Rusano is a name in the possessive form of Rusanos, we could translate it. It's coming up on our right-hand side now. If you look up, you can see it from a distance. Most of these places, remember, are more than 600 years old. There's a very large cave inside which there are some platforms and scaffolding and wooden pieces of wood. You can see them, I think, and then after the next few bends and curves we'll see it again. So that's how the early hermits lived. The life in these monasteries was strictly organized by what they call a constitutional charter, a typikon, are carefully described and defined, and that's how the life in these monasteries was organized back in those years, and they're still keeping the same rules and the same charters. With the cave at the base of it, at the bottom of it, where the remains of scaffolding and platforms can be seen. And then now on the left-hand side, if you take a look towards the valley, you see the monastery of St. Nicholas. And coming up now on our left-hand side, look up again to see the monastery of Varlam.
Are we going to visit a monastery?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Up here in the mountains?
Yes.
Wow. This is incredible.
Monastery, and another one just behind it. And another one which is located on an even taller hill. The nice steps that we have in order to climb up to these monasteries, and in most cases the visitors have to climb the monastery of Varlam. It's V-A-R-L-A-M. Varlam was the name, the Transfiguration Monastery. After the next bend, we'll be able to see these two again. The experience that this was when people had to do that and wait for the old monks to turn the wheel and pull them up slowly, and if they got tired they would stop, and you would have to wait trapped above the abyss.
You have the
Was established by Phoenicians, and then down and to the left, when we look towards the valley, we see the convent of Rusano, closer to us, and then further away, Holy Trinity. These are 5 of the 6, and we're going to visit the 6th one, so you'll get a good look at that.
okay.
With us.
Up on top?
Summertime.
Oh, sure.
Okay, well, let's see.
Upset that I don't think I can do that.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's coming. That's what he's doing over there.
Lifetime.
Not so much.
It's what they call rugged hiking.
Yes.
No path.
This place is unbelievable.
You can't
Oh, look
explain
at
it.
No.
there's a Liberty photo.
Meetings and I try to say what it's like. You can't.
No, you got it.
I know these pictures alone will convince them to come.
I don't think we have.
Oh, yeah. Man, oh, man.
Hope it was a thing and not a person.
I don't like that stuff. I don't like watching
He's on the edge.
Oh, Aries did something.
more. Just climb and.
Adventurous pony, good.
How far do you jump? How far down?
Yeah, I heard the thump. I don't know.
I have no. I mean, John.
Who are the risk takers?
We are going to stop again later at one more place for a picture, but now we're going to go straight to the monastery that we will visit, which is dedicated to Saint Stephen. Live in each one of these places. The reason, of course, is the small size of these monasteries. They cannot hold more than a few nuns or monks. So the convent of St. Stephen has the largest population of all the monasteries and convents of Meteora at the moment. The monastery of the Holy Trinity. No, he's probably a bit old. So you can see from this distance, as we come close to the to the monastery of the Holy Trinity, you see the wires. Look at the cables that connect this side of the wall of the rocks to the rock where the monastery is standing, and you see there's a grayish metal booth there where the cables are leading near the Greek flag. We do have, of course, electricity in these monasteries and convents, something that they did not have before the 1960s. Before the 1960s, they didn't have power, lived in the Byzantine years. Since the 1960s, they have power and nice steps hewn out of the natural rock. But in this case, in the case of the convent of St. Stephen, which you can see on the right-hand side now, it's only a small bridge, stone bridge, that we will have to cross. So the reason, one of the reasons why we have selected this place for our visit today.
She's afraid about the press. Oh.
The whole row stopped. Sorry. No, not just you.
Take a look at these metal objects rhythmically with a wooden hammer or a metal object. And the sound they made was loud enough to summon the monks for their meals and prayers and everything else they did all together. Okay.
No photos inside.
Oh, no photos.
So banging the wooden palandon that we saw earlier hanging outside the church. So when you hear this banging sound, your pictures.
Got kitty cat. Kitty cat. Kitty cat. Okay, keep it.
Oh, okay. So beautiful.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to come for a retreat here, you know?
There's a sign that says WC. You got a fan club. You got a fan club, yes you do.
So Kathleen is visiting?
Yes, they're in the, guess where they are?
Нет, я кошку не хочу. Давай я вот здесь вот сяду. Ну, дядя ты очень не знаю. Нормально. Ну, уже садись. Ну, сейчас подождем, да, снимет. Он камеру снимает.
This is so amazing. It's just beyond belief. I mean, how can you look at that and not believe in heaven?
Witnesses, so you will know I'm not making this up, that the nun at the exit told me that you must congratulate your group. All the sisters who talked to them or dealt with them said that they are so nice and sweet and polite and respectful. And she wanted me to share this with you. She said, tell them, you know, don't forget. So I wanted to share with you that they all appreciated your sweetness. Well, okay, on the way. Sunlight coming out of the
I got you prime seating. It's rough. It's rough.
That's how they get across.
That is meltemi, meltemia in the plural. Those are the winds that blow in the Aegean in August. And that's why you can go sailing or anything like that in the Aegean in August. But I'm talking about a different wind that we have, the hot summer wind we have is called Liva. The meltemia, no, they don't
some images, the ones that we can visit as you're going. Do not say no to the Lukumi. Take one of the tickets.
You said so.
You still like gold, if you do that.
We're gonna make the drawing. We're gonna make the drawing.
These right now?
Where we go.
Old hands.
I'm sorry, what are you gonna ask me?
That's why I make my demonstration and I'm clear. It's not plating, but it's not also pure gold. But nobody will ask me it's a pure gold or what. I have it for 4 years. Nothing happening. And it's very dynamic prices. About icons, we have 3 categories. One is really important. The icon.
Sign up the page.
I think you went to Varlam.
You climbed a lot, and then you went up, and then you had one of these, then you went across a bridge. Smaller, much smaller.
The monastery.
It was a monastery, not a convent.
It was with women as well.
No, it was men.
Men.
It was Varlam. Okay.
Thank you.
She won the door prize.
Okay, yes, the second. In Greek? Okay, who has 7-11? The last number. There you go. Well done.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Kay.
Good for Kay.
Okay, third present. 8-27 are the last 3. There goes Laura.
Laura.
You do? Okay. Let's ask Aris.
He's driving.
Present number 4 goes to the person whose last 3 numbers are 716. 716.
All right, Jolene.
Okay, this should go to a man, really, but we'll see what will happen. Would you like to choose? And maybe they will go to you.
7-0-1.
Oh, missed it by 1. Missed it by 1. Who got it? Linda? Missed it by 1. Okay, before we trash up the place, get some shots of this room that we have for our stay here. Hotel Meteora. And nice closets here. And nice alcove here. And nice sized bathroom here. And, drum roll please, we have a nice balcony. And Charlotte's out there already. And we'll save the best till last. The view.
Look at the panoramic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Got a panoramic view. And very nice. And nice and quiet. Except for the birds.